Hi friends, it's Jan and I'm in the kitchen today. I'm going to make feta cheese, so I hope you like to come along and enjoy the process with me. Okay, let's get started. What we need to do now is add a gallon of milk to a large saucepan, and I've used pasteurised milk from the shop, and you need to heat it to 86 degrees Fahrenheit. And to this, I'm actually adding the lipase to add the extra flavouring, so that can be heating away, but keep an eye on it. It needs to get to 86 degrees Fahrenheit. Once your milk has reached 86 degrees Fahrenheit, you need to add your calcium chloride and mix with water, and also your culture. And I'm using buttermilk as my culture for this feta cheese. So stir it, make sure it's thoroughly stirred through, and then put your lid on and let it sit for 45 minutes for it to culture. Now that your milk has rested and cultured for 45 minutes, you need to add your rennet. Now your rennet, you've mixed it with 1/4 cup of water, and what you need to do is stir it very gently, probably about 8 times, from the bottom to the top of your pot, to thoroughly mix the rennet. And then you need to still your milk so that it stops spinning. So turn the milk the opposite direction so that it's quite calm in the pot. Then you need to let it rest and create curds for 30 minutes. We'll be back soon. Now it's time to test whether you have a clean break so that you know that the curds are set. And the way you do this is you can put your thermometer end in and bring it up through the curds to see if you get a nice clean break, or you can put your knife in and do the same. So you'll notice if it's not set, then you need to wait another 10 minutes. And now then, if it is set, time to cut your curds. And the way you do this is you need to cut them 1/2 inch wide in a grid-like pattern, so that you end up with 1/2 inch little blocks of curd. And then to do the diagonal ones, you need to cut it on an angle so you can get right down to the bottom of your pot. Now that your curds have healed, it's time to stir your curds. Now, the amount of time you stir them, the length of time, depends on how you want your result. If you want soft curds, it's 15 minutes. If you want curds that are more like shop, ones you buy from the shop, then it's about 20. But if you want them a little harder and drier, then it's 25. I'm aiming for 20 minutes. During the stirring process, if you find you have larger curds, just break them up or cut them at the side of the saucepan with your spoon. Now I've set up on the bench a large baking dish with a drying rack over the top with my 2 moulds. You need to strain them as you're doing it, so just spoon them into your moulds, and then later on you can tip some of your whey over to get the last bit of curds out. The pan underneath will catch all the whey as it's dripping through, but you need to save at least 3.5 cups of your whey to make your brine that you're going to store your cheese in the fridge, but we'll talk about that in a moment. Add 1.5 cups of cheese salt or pure salt with no additives to your whey and stir till it dissolves. When your first hour of draining has finished, you need to take your cheese out of your moulds and flip them over and put them back in the moulds. And this time you're going to let them sit for 16 hours until they dry out. So they can sit on your bench covered with a tea towel for 16 hours, and then you'll look at them again in the morning when you can then store them in your brine.